Welcome back. Just did a transfer case and front differential and rear differential gear oil changes on the 392 for the second time. 9,200 miles now, and I did the first at 6,100 miles when I heard that TrailRecon and the story till now had massive catastrophic failures of their transfer cases. Going on the 392 forum, I saw that this was not unique, that many others. In fact, many people were complaining of low fills. That is, my transfer case was half an inch low, and we found out the differentials that the front differential needs to be paid attention to. It has not catastrophic quantity, but when I do the gear oil change, I'll walk you through it. I'm bumping up the gear oil up there to 75 140, but I will institute earlier changes in the front differential. But everything's great on this end, and I have a trip I want to take you on to Sycamore Canyon. Like Montezuma's Castle, it is multiple story native heritage site, but it's a 17-mile hike to get in there. If you have a 392, it's about half a mile after 4 hours of very, very rugged trail. So then, very excited to take you on this trip. Come along. Right now, we're going to go through the boring part of the gear oil change. If you've seen it before, everything's good. And note that you should take care and keep your eye on your front differential as well as your transfer case. In my off-roading kit, I'm now including gear oil and ATF4 Plus, the transfer case oil.
Fast forward 1,600 hard miles, towing the little black car on a U-Haul automobile transporter to Monterey and then back to Arizona. And let's check out the fluid. The fill plug uses the standard 3/8 extension of a square drive from your ratchet. And we can see we've got good fluid coming out, and let's get a white towel here and some pretty good color. See, there's not a lot of scorching on this. It was over 10 hours continuous on the way there, but we were running from Tropical Storm Hillary to get back. It was a rough one. Anyhow, this looks exceptionally good. The 75 140 may have saved a differential from all that heat and stress, or differential plug removes with the square drive from your ratchet extension, and the circumferential nuts are removed with a 10 millimeter socket. Let's remove those and see the color of the oil as it comes out. I missed a major flow, but that was a really good color of oil that came out. And as Eric, the car guy, says, your best oil changes when the oil looks good. This does not have any sign of scorching and was actually better off than the break-in miles, which isn't surprising, I guess. I thought it was going to suffer a lot more. This is really good news. All right, the gear set's out. A plug. All right, the gear cover's off. Oops. And there you go. The magnetic plug does have a little bit. There is a little bit of dark trail coming out with the fluid. So I'm going to take half a can of brake cleaner and some paper towels, rags, and wipe off as much of the little components and greases as I can. Get that clean, get all the little particulates up as much as possible. This is looking really good, and it's deserving. It did really well. It pounded the ground, and it did it at 10 to 12 hours at a time. Good guy. All right, I'm really happy now. We got a great gear set. I am hesitant. I'm not gonna claim success yet, because as we saw in the earlier fill at 6,000 miles, the front differential is smaller and could be our problem child. Let's be happy, but reserve our final decision until we see all the fluids. First, fitting the gasket to the cover and then placing each 10 millimeter nut loosely into the housing so that the cover can actually float as you tighten it down. I use my torque wrench and set it to 25 foot-pounds for the 10 millimeter surrounding nuts, making a star pattern of tightening and ensuring that the cover is even. For the fill plug, I only torque it to 15 pounds. After I filled, of course, with 75 140 Mobile 1, just under 2 liters, about a liter. All right, this is our critical front differential. And I'm very interested in the color of this. The rear differential was admittedly boring. That was great color fluid. I did stress this vehicle out on a towing of over 1,500 miles. Close. If it's anything like the rear, I will luck out, and this will be just like new. So we see it come off. Let's catch it. I did not catch it on the rear one because it was only 1.5 liters and it came out fast. Okay, guys. There we go. Here's a nice flow. Oh, it's a little bit of wear, a little bit of color. Actually, I'm very impressed. I thought this was my problem child. The break-in miles showed this fluid to be the darkest between both differentials and the transfer case. So I wanted to keep my eye on this guy. And it looks like he's doing really well. Let's let it drain. All right, I've cleaned the front cover off, placed the gasket, and I'm going to do a final wipe down on the edge there. My gear set does look great. The oil actually did not look as bad as the break-in miles. Although it was only 2,000 and they were hard miles of 10 hours at a time, towing even up the Grapevine, which was down in 5th gear of the 8-gear run. This gear set's looking great. I've done some research. I've looked. This is a Dana 44, but is the Spicer line of it. If you look at the Spicer spec sheet, it contradicts Mopar's sheet and states 75 140 is applicable. I have been using a 20% mix of 75 140 and 80% of Mobile 1 75 90. I'm not going to bump that up 50-50. Now that I see the Spicer specs actually require it, I am going to mix a 50-50 blend. We've had success at 20%, and I think this is great. Plus, I like the wear patterns. I am underneath the transfer case. I have taken the brace off using the 13 and 18 millimeter sockets. And now I want to remove the fill plug. Oops, get the armor right there before I pull the drain plug, just to make sure you can do it. This is always a prudent move, is to do it, especially if you can do it while holding the camera. There we go. And I am going to use 2 hands. All right, now that you've used 2 hands to break it free, you can with one, and we want to look at that fluid coming out. Remember, this has been through 3,000 miles of hard miles, 10 to 12 hours at a time. There's a lot of color to it. There's also a bit of darkness too. Let's get it draining. So that's a very good sign. When I pulled the fill plug, we still had the topped off little amount of fluid left over, and nothing was consumed during our 3,000 mile bonsai continuous run. This was up to temperature in 107 degree ambient temperature, Arizona, across the heat of the day. So I thought, let's take a look at the fluid. I might be pleasantly surprised here, and might be spending $75 for fluid that doesn't need to be changed, but let's have a look. Okay, let's pay attention. I can feel that plug is removing. Let's get a good look at the color of the fluid as it comes out. And I can feel it's almost there. That's pretty red. A little dark, but still really good color. It's like Eric the car guy says, the best fluid changes are when they come out looking brand spanking new. So, excellent. I'm very happy with this. Both the fill and the color were expected for 3,000 miles, even though I did put it through extended heat ranges at the hottest time of Arizona and towing a load too. So Maybe I lucked out. Maybe TrailRecon and the story till now, their problems are unique to them. I'm looking good here. Let's put that plug in and fill it back up.